Well, hey friends, it is Monday night, and every Monday we have some sort of variation of pasta. So tonight we're gonna keep it simple and just do plain old spaghetti. I've got my cast iron skillet here. I've already chopped up my onion. I'm gonna heat this up with a little bit of olive oil, and I'm gonna add my onion and some peppers to it. These are some frozen diced peppers from the garden last year. So I'm just gonna dump those in along with our onion. We grew this in the garden, so I went down to the basement and grabbed one. I also had some leftover frozen zucchini from the garden last year that I also added. So while my veggies are sauteing in that pan, I have some home canned tomato sauce or spaghetti sauce, marinara sauce from this year that I'm going to start heating up in my pan. Normally I would just add it to my pan of veggies, but I'm going to add some meat in here that is still frozen, so I need to heat this up. I have some frozen boneless, skinless chicken breasts that have already been cooked, so I'm going to put them in here and hope that they thaw so I can shred them. Now, since we have spaghetti every Monday night, sometimes I do chicken, sometimes I do beef. I'll just do a wide variety, and I'll do different things with the sauce, fresh tomatoes, or this here, just so it's not like we're eating the same thing all the time, but this is what we're doing tonight. I also have some fresh lettuce from the garden greenhouse that I'm going to chop up into bowls for salad tonight. I will take you out a little bit later this week and show you the lettuce growing in the greenhouse. But for now, this was in my refrigerator, so I'm just going to chop this up. I also have some leftover carrots that I'm going to put in, and if you've never seen anybody chop the carrots this way, I haven't either. I had them chopped up into big chunks for roasted carrots the other night, and so I just used a knife and chopped them up like you would an onion or anything else and made it a little smaller to add. I'm also going to be adding some sunflower seeds because we like that nice crunch, and they've got some good nutrition. I made some whole grain sourdough bread the other day. It is absolutely delicious, made with 100% whole wheat, freshly ground wheat berries, and you can see the crumb isn't the best, but the texture and taste is amazing. I'm now going to add my cooked veggies into my sauce. I'm also going to fish out the chunks of chicken that are now thawed, and I'm going to shred them up. Return them back to the sauce and get it all thoroughly mixed, and then we can go ahead and plate it up. Since it's been so dark out during dinner time, we love to light our beeswax candle, leave all the lights off, and eat by candlelight. I topped this with some Parmesan cheese and served it with our toasted sourdough bread, and it was absolutely delicious. It is Tuesday and it is a cold, dreary day, so I decided to do some white chicken chili in the crock pot. I took some organic boneless, skinless chicken breasts and I cooked them in my Instant Pot with a little bit of water, and then I just rinsed some Great Northern beans and I put them right there into the broth that cooked out from the chicken. I added some more water and I cooked it in my Instant Pot for about 20-ish minutes. I have some home canned chicken broth that I'm going to add to my crock pot. And then once the beans are done, I'm going to add those. I'm going to chop up an onion from the garden and add that in there as well. I have some Anaheim chilies from the garden that I canned. These are just whole pieces, so I'm going to chop them up into chunks and add them in there just to add a little bit of spice, along with some cumin and other spices. Mix that all together and let that cook on high all afternoon. We ate this with the last of the sourdough bread, and it was such a hearty meal on a dreary cold day. So it is Wednesday, and I decided that we are going to have a simple roast for dinner. So I have my Instant Pot. Now this thing is frozen solid. We're down to the last few cuts of meat in our freezer. And I love using my Instant Pot to cook roast because it cooks for such a long time. You can throw it in frozen. It makes it super tender, and we can get it started early. It is a little bit after 2. I like to cook it for a couple hours, and so I'm gonna show you how I throw it in the Instant Pot. Whenever you're cooking in the Instant Pot, you need at least a cup of liquid. I'm just using some water. Now the roast will make its own juices. I just have a simple pot roast here, and I really hope it fits in here. I'm down to the last few roasts, and I tried to find the smallest one I can, because unless I thaw them, then they won't fit in the Instant Pot. I tried that a couple weeks ago, and so I tried to find the smallest one I could find. All right, moment of truth. Ooh, I don't know. Are we gonna be able to get the lid on? Maybe turn it around. This one's a little narrow. I think it's gonna go ahead and fit. You can see it's slanted, but as it cooks, it will sink down. So I've got some onions here. I've got 2 smaller onions that I brought up from the basement that I chopped up, and they're just gonna slide right off. Normally, I like them to go right on here. Sometimes I'll put some garlic cloves on there, but we're kind of running low on garlic, so we're just gonna leave it with the onions. And it'll all just sink down. I'm also gonna put some salt on there. And some pepper. I'm also going to, only have 1 bay leaf left. I love bay leaves to flavor my bone broth. Sometimes I put them in with roast, sometimes I don't. So that's all I do for this. You can do garlic powder, onion powder. If you want to do like carrots and potatoes and that sort of thing, I would not recommend cooking it in the Instant Pot with this. You can either open it up later on and then put it back in for, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes, however long it takes for those to cook. Unless you're doing it like in the oven or the stovetop, then you can add those, but it's just gonna turn them to complete mush. So we're just doing the meat in here. I'm gonna put my lid on. Meat stew option, and you can see it's 2 hours. I had that from last time when it was thawed. So this time I'm gonna do 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours is plenty of time for this frozen meat to really thaw, get cooked, and get really tender, because I noticed the longer you cook roast, especially this more fattier one, the more tender it gets. So 2.5 hours, and it'll probably be done hopefully about 4:30. And then it'll have about 30 minutes to depressurize and just keep warm until it's time for dinner, and that'll just make it nice and perfect. So I'm down here in our basement and I'm grabbing some potatoes. I just have this box over them just to kind of keep the light out of it because I don't really have a better storage solution. I've got curing onions all over here, but these are the russet potatoes that we grew. They're absolutely beautiful. We don't have that many left. So I'm gonna grab some and take them upstairs, wash them up, because we're gonna have baked potatoes along with the roast. I poke these with a fork, and then I just put them just like this in the oven at 350 for about an hour. This one's a little large, it might take a little bit longer. I used to wrap them in foil, but I have tried to avoid aluminum foil for many years now. And so I find that if I put them in the oven just like this, the outsides get nice and crispy and really nice, and they're delicious. When you wrap them in foil, the moisture is kind of contained in there, so it makes a little bit of a softer skin, but I don't mind having them like this. The kids love the skin. So I'm gonna bake this at 350 for a little over an hour. So this is my greenhouse. I did a video on how I did this in the spring, and we grew stuff in here. And so once it started warming or cooling off a little bit, I put the cover back on and I started growing lettuce in here, and I'm hoping to grow lettuce through most of the winter. We're gonna have salad with dinner, so let's check it out and cut down some lettuce.
I
I've already harvested some here and I have a bunch more growing. And then I just reseeded this right here. I probably should water it. It looks a little dry. This is a frost tolerant variety of lettuce. I can't remember the name of it, but I will put it on the screen. We're just gonna take a little bit for dinner tonight. I don't want to take too much. Homegrown lettuce in the winter. Well, actually, technically it's not winter, it's fall, but it feels like winter because it's very cold out. We've had several nights in the 20s, and this has just done beautifully. I did have some lettuce that is outside the greenhouse and it survived several nights in a row in the 20s. I have a couple rows of these, but the chickens actually found it and ate it all. So I am super glad that I have some in the greenhouse. We're also gonna go check for chicken eggs because it is getting so cold out at night. I don't want them to stay in the coop and freeze and split open. Real sophisticated on our nesting boxes here. We only have 2 chickens that lay in this coop. Thanks, ladies. We have our other coop here where the majority of them lay. See how many eggs we've got in here. One all the way out here outside the nesting box. Did not get very many eggs today. Well, that's okay. We've got lots on the counter. They're slowing down for the winter. Thank you, ladies, for your contribution. This little lady, she escaped. We gotta go catch her and put her back in. Ah, we got another one. How are you guys escaping? Come here, Ariel. Come here. Gonna ruin my garden. I've already washed my hands from handling the chickens and the eggs. So I just got this lettuce in, and now I'm gonna soak it in some cold water. Bugs like to hang out in the greenhouse, so I like to give it a nice soak to keep the bugs from sticking onto the lettuce. It's not really necessary to do that this time of year because the lettuce is already cool from being outside. In the summer, it makes the lettuce nice and cold, but I'm just using some filtered water, and I'll just let it soak for just a few minutes. I can already see bugs flying around here. So now that this has been soaking for just a few minutes, probably about 5 minutes, I've got my salad spinner here, and I'm just gonna turn the water on cold and low, and I'm just gonna rinse quickly each piece of lettuce. That way I'll get off any bugs. There's marigold seeds stuck on here, and this just cleans it off really well. And then if I come across any like this that just aren't very good, then I can set that aside and throw that to the chickens. Here's the leftover water. Those little green dots are all bugs down there. Next, I just spin it all out. I like to check the water and make sure there's no like bugs in there, because if there is, then I go through and rinse it again, but there's not many bugs left, so we're good. Here is the salads. I did not make you watch me make another salad like I did the other day. The only thing in here that's not homegrown is the sunflower seeds. The potatoes are nice and done. Don't judge the bottom of the oven. I like never clean it, and it's very dirty. I've got them here in a bowl just back where the oven vents out, so it's really warm back here. I'm gonna get the meat out and we're gonna eat our salad. So I'm just gonna cover it with a cloth just to kind of help keep that moisture in, and it also helps to soften up the skin just a little bit, and that'll keep it nice and warm till we actually sit down to eat that part of our meal. The meat has been done cooking for 25 minutes, so I'm just gonna turn that off, and then also the pressure has not fully released, so we're just gonna release that. Now that that little pin has dropped, I'm gonna show you what our roast looks like. You can see the roast flattened down. You see the onions, and I wish you can smell it. It smells absolutely amazing. It made so much juice, so we're going to save that for a soup later on. Oh, I cannot wait to eat this. It gets really dark out, and so we like to eat by candlelight because I don't like to turn lights on in the house. This is the leftover broth. There's some meat in there. I'll probably fish that out, and then with the onions, this will make wonderful broth for soup. So I'm just going to freeze this because I don't have soup planned for a while. There was a huge bone in this meat. I've already picked out the meat and put it aside. This is just like the fat and gristle. So I'm just gonna take this and stick it in a bag in the freezer. That way when I go to make bone broth, I can just pull this out and add it to it because there's still probably lots of good nutrition in there. So that is the leftovers from this meal. Every Thursday night we have community group with our church group, and we share a meal together and each bring different things. So I volunteered to bring the dessert. I have some shredded zucchini from last year's garden that I have thawed and squeezed out the excess liquid. I'm going to make a zucchini chocolate cake, and I promise you, you cannot taste the zucchini in there, but it tastes amazing. I will link the recipe video down below if you guys want to check that out on my other channel. I like to use whole wheat pastry flour in all of my baked goods, and you don't even notice that it's made with whole wheat. This is a soft white wheat, and it works wonderful in pastries, cakes, cookies, muffins, and all those kind of baked goods. I made a very small batch of some chocolate frosting with cocoa powder, organic powdered sugar, vanilla, butter, and milk. I got that all nice and whipped up. Once the cake was cool enough to frost, I went ahead and frosted it, although I should have left it go a little bit longer because the frosting started melting on top, but we had to walk out the door, so it needed to be frosted. The cake turned out absolutely delicious. I did sneak a little piece before we left just to make sure it turned out okay. It is Friday night, and we'd like to do pizza every Friday night, so I just made some whole wheat, just regular yeast dough. We've got 2 of them here, and we're ready to roll them out. For the topping, we have some homegrown tomato sauce that I've just seasoned with some garlic and herb seasoning. We have some turkey bacon that I have fried up. And then all of these toppings here are from our garden. The peppers are frozen from last year's garden. I chopped up some tomatoes and some red onion. This is the candy apple red onion, the very last one. And then I just have some mozzarella cheese shredded. So we're gonna assemble these, and I will show you what it looks like. Roll it, yep, and then come back. Okay. Not too hard, not too hard. Okay, now hold this while I turn the pizza thing. Hold it. And we gotta roll it out this way. So let's kind of get this puzzle out. Okay, and then roll it back this way. Good.
We're going to sprinkle Parmesan cheese on the pizza.
Is that the secret ingredient?
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh, you just told the secret ingredient.
They are ready to go in the oven. During the summer, we would put fresh basil on there, but our basil died in the frost. Here's the pizza out of the oven. The other secret is to broil it so you get it all nice and browned. I already served it the pizza because these pizza stones keep it really hot. It is Saturday night, and we are keeping things simple. I had some taco meat already cooked up in the freezer, as well as some pinto beans that were already cooked in the freezer. So we just thawed those and warmed them up, served them with some fresh tomato and lettuce from the garden with some canned salsa, and we had taco salad for dinner. On Sunday, I made a big pan of nachos with the leftover bean and taco meat mixture, put cheese on it, put it in the broiler, and got it all nice and browned and melted. We also had some leftover chicken breakfast sausage that we ate with that just to add a little bit more protein. And we had some carrots from the garden with some guac and some sliced apples. I hope you guys really enjoyed this cook with me, how we cook from scratch from our garden. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.